Hi folks, I'm Will Bridges from 123 Trade, and in this video we're going to give a forecast for this week. We're going to be looking at Forex, silver, gold, oil, pretty much every major currency on earth, US dollar, New Zealand dollar may be a focus here today. They are actually looking at raising interest rates in 2022. Which is actually a little bit sooner than most of the world. So there could be some serious bullish activity over there. We're going to do a lot more details once we get the economic calendar up here. If you like this type of content, then by all means, go ahead. Click the thumbs up. Like the video. I believe in you. Otherwise, subscribe, ring the bell. We've got lots more content coming out. We should have videos like this pretty much every day, and we do live sessions with our clients every Friday. But let's go ahead and get to the risk disclaimer. Let's cover our base. Everything in this video will be for educational purpose only. You do with the information what you think is best. But that said, you do have to risk it to get the biscuit, folks. There is no such thing as a guaranteed trade or investment. So let's get to the cool part. First, let's pull up the economic calendar here. And right up here at the top, we're looking for a speech from Governor Orr in New Zealand. They've seemed relatively unconcerned about inflation. They're talking about raising interest rates in 2022. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. That's actually sooner than anyone else in the world. It would be hard to expect them to, change their tune and want to raise rates later because they've seemed, very much to just be going about business as usual. And New Zealand is really in a unique position because they don't operate with, I don't know if they have any government debt. So really one of the best run banks and really governments in the world. So they've been world leaders for a long time. When it comes to economic policy, they came up with the inflation target of 2% that we now use here in the US, Europe, beyond. Everybody's looking for 2% inflation because New Zealand came up with that idea in the early 90s, and it worked. So President Lagarde is going to come out and speak on Tuesday as well. That may be something to pay attention to. She's been talking about, how they have more room for more, rate drops. They have more room to lower the interest rate in Europe. So she's very dovish by comparison versus really anybody else in the world. So that's not very strong news for them, but she will be giving a speech. There will be likely some more conversation about that on Tuesday. So that's something you want to keep an eyeball out for on the movement of the euro. As far as the USD goes, this consumer confidence forecast is for it to be a strong number and stronger than last month. I think there's a lot of people spending more money right now. 4th of July is coming up this weekend, and it's a big holiday. So a lot of people are going to spend a bunch of money and go a lot of places, and people will go to the beach, blow up fireworks. It should be typically an expensive experience for America in general, just because it's really one of the bigger holidays that we celebrate here. Manufacturing PMIs in China. Okay, this is a big indicator for what may be going on in Australia and New Zealand. If China is strong, Aussie New Zealand dollars may be stronger versus other currencies because they're going to be providing things like iron ore, for example, to China. So if those manufacturing numbers are strong, that spells positive news for the land down under, Australia, and also the Kiwis over in New Zealand. That said, let's keep on moving down the list here. CPIs. Okay, this is more inflation information. Okay, so they're talking about 2% in Europe, which is not quite as high as we've got here in the United States. We're annualizing our month-over-month numbers at somewhere around 5% right now. Still doesn't look, let's just say that's a heck of a lot stronger than 2%. So that's why Lagarde is saying that they can still inflate more. They can still lower interest rates, and they can inflate more. They're falling behind. This is a race to the bottom. Everybody wants to have their currency on sale so that it's easier for them to export. That's really what this is about, because they want to export their inflation. That's what this is all about. So ADP, non-farm employment change. Okay, this is a jobs report that comes out on Wednesday. This is usually an indicator of what may happen on Friday. So they are expecting far fewer jobs to get created this month than last month. 555,000 is still a lot. If we click on this folder button here, we can see what happened last month. This 978K, very strong. Otherwise, they've been off the mark by 100,000 roughly, at least. Pretty much 3 out of the last 5 months. So very good shot that they missed the mark on this. About 60% based on the last 5 times. 60% chance that they miss the mark here, and we end up with a weaker dollar than we anticipate because of something like that. Because obviously more people working creates more demand for paychecks. That simple. Let's keep on moving down the list here. CAD GDP, okay, so gross domestic product, month over month. If this number is expected to be falling, that is bearish for the Canadian dollar. That is not good news. And GDP numbers are extremely important. That's basically how much are we producing as a country. If that number is down, that is deflationary and very bad news for the Canadian dollar. The U.S. Chicago PMI, this is another Purchasing Managers Index. This is basically anything over 50 on this number is bullish. So we're not as bullish as we were earlier this year, but this is still a very strong number. Okay, so pending home sales, that number is down for the second month in a row, it looks like. And as far as the forecast, and it's underperformed. The actual number has actually underperformed 4 out of the last 5 months. And the last time that it did do what we expected, it was still a deflationary number. So pending home sales are way down, so that's not good for dollar demand. Crude oil inventories, okay, these are going to come out Thursday. These have been actually falling, so that's been bullish for oil. I'm expecting that if the dollar continues to see weakness, like we're talking about in the housing market, like we're talking about, in the high inflation numbers as well, if this number continues to fall here, we don't have a forecast number up, but those should be up here on Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. We should actually have an actual number to come out midweek. So we could see some continued bullish activity for oil based on that. And now I guess this is going to be a 2-parter from Christine Lagarde this week. I hope she has, plenty of time to get a perfect spray tan. I don't know who's got a worse spray tan, her or Donald Trump. But regardless, if there's an orange man out there, there's an orange woman, and her name is Christine Lagarde. But apparently she's going to have a 2-part week, so she's going to come out and give another speech later in the week. We'll see what she has to say. Only time will tell, but generally she's been fairly dovish so far, so that could be more indication of weakened, euros in that scenario if she continues to stay on that clip. But we don't really know what's going to happen. The bankers have a tendency to lie to us. They kind of switch off. We're going to lie to them this week, but next week we're going to be straight up and tell them up front. And that's all a psychological game. They want to have they want to have as little immediate impact on the market as they can if they ever make a decision to change something. So they kind of prepare people by being cryptic, okay? And some people, make their sell or they get out of whatever market it is that they would be getting out of. If the stock market finds out that interest rates are coming up, they're going to make a rumor of rising interest rates so that some people dump, and they don't have everybody dump at the same time. Okay, so they're going to make a rumor, probably not follow through with it immediately. They want to slow down reactions to every decision that they make as much as possible. So that may be a big reason why she's coming out to talk twice this week, but we'll find that out, I guess, later this week when she actually does the talking. So German final manufacturing PMI, this number is not as important as the preliminary numbers are, because this is really kind of telling us what already happened. When they come out with preliminary numbers and they say like, hey, we think that this is going to be this way next month, and expectations are high, that's typically when the bullish activity happens. This is usually going to be a pretty quiet move, but that is a bullish number in Europe. So the German economy appears to be making some recovery, which is pretty good news, especially if you live in Germany. Bank of England Governor Bailey speaks. This is likely to be some big news. There's a good chance that they may have to raise interest rates sooner than other countries of this world. They are seeing some decent inflation numbers in the UK. When I say decent, I mean higher. But they've also got an incredibly high asset purchasing facility. They are buying a lot of their own bonds. It seems like they might be dedicated to pushing up the value of the GBP. So we'll see where they are with that. There should be a lot more news to come out on that. There may be something you want to check out because that will cause some big movement in the market. And a lot of time, a speech is going to be something that, a good portion of people have already made their decision of what they're going to do before the speech happens. So a lot of times a speech will happen, big movement will go on right after it or during it, and then the market may come right back to earth. No telling if that's what happens. Really depends on what he says and if he changes the direction of what people think. Okay, so if he changes sentiment there, that is going to be a massive deal. Or if he amplifies it. Okay, this market could move huge in a very short period of time if he comes out and says, "Hey, we're going to raise interest rates, at the end of this year, next year." Whatever they decide to do could have very big impact. Okay, all these Bank of England, RBA, RBNZ, Fed, ECB speakers. These people control the value of everything. Okay, so the whole world hinges on how much is a euro worth, how much is a dollar worth. Everybody's got all these major currencies. If you want to buy oil, you have to do it with dollars. Okay, so that being said, okay, these people control the value of literally everything just because they control the value of the money behind the purchase. Okay, so you need to pay attention to this. It's very much, there's not a lot of them. There's only like 7 of these people. Okay, so it's not something that you need to follow some giant long list of people. But really, a lot of that news is going to be lumped in with other economic news. If you look for major economic news, we're going to have a news page on our channel here shortly. And I'm going to actually be coming out with an ebook, so keep your eyes peeled. We will be coming out with that soon. But having looked at all of this information and going through all of this, realistically speaking, looking at what we have on the board, we are going to get a lot of indication, a lot of speeches from New Zealand, from ECB, and Bank of England this week that are going to be pretty pivotal in setting trend in this market. Okay, so all things that you may want to check out when it comes to picking currency pairs. Personally, looking at this myself, I'm going to be bearish on the euro. I may actually be bearish on the US dollar. I would have to go ahead and check out the charts. I'm also looking at metals because, realistically speaking, if inflation is going to be as high as it is, metals are likely to be very strong. And really, before we go, I want a little trade of the day. I want to pop something up on the screen for you guys. This is silver. Okay, so silver, I think, is going to be very exciting, and it could see some pretty hot action this week. Okay, so I want to get this thing out of my way here. I get my gauges and all that stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and make this thing full screen. I want to show you guys a little bit of analysis on silver. And we already talked about fundamentals. Okay, so obviously we know that Europe is planning on continuing to, be dovish, is really what they've said so far. They could change their tune this week, or they could amplify that and give more information about when they want to lower the interest rate, which would be huge. Okay, because if anyone accelerates the race toward the bottom, everyone else needs to keep up. And when I say everyone else, every other economy is going to want to print more, because it's kind of one of those things that if you're printing, I should be printing, because my money will get too expensive and then it will be hard for me to export. Okay, so that's really important. That's why a lot of currencies spend a lot of time in a specific range. Interesting part about it is that we're not really increasing the rate that we can produce silver. Okay, that's kind of like this. Okay, everybody wants to go to electric vehicles. We're supposed to be done with oil by 2050, according to the G7, whatever pact, whatever you want to call it, that just got agreed to by Joe Biden here in the United States and leaders from around the world. So they're talking about doing away with fossil fuels. We're going to need more electrical infrastructure. This thing has already made a big jolt. Okay, we've already made one big wave up. Okay, and typically what's going to happen here, okay, we're going to have, typically more than one wave. So by Elliott wave, and I'll show you guys what happened last time. And let's get this tool on here. This is a relatively straightforward tool. Okay, here's our initial move from the bottom. Okay, it's kind of arbitrary as far as the start on silver here, but there's 2. Here's our extension wave. Okay, then we dipped a little bit, and then we hit our exhaustion wave, which actually went fairly high. Okay, and that's where we completed out. So from a wave count perspective, it really took a long time for us to get to where we wanted to go. We extended quickly as soon as we were started to recover from the 2008-2009 money printing party from the Fed. That's really when the market kind of leveled out down here. And what I'm looking to happen is something similar on this right side. We haven't actually made it to all-time highs yet, which is kind of obnoxious, considering that the money supply has probably doubled, tripled, or more than that since since this time over here, 10 years ago. So I'm looking at this as an aggressive wave 1 here, and really when it comes to Elliott wave, this could be something that goes on for a while. This could be wave 1 here. This could be our test. We could get an extension wave up above, and then we could get another even higher exhaustion wave that could go extraordinarily high. We could see all the way up to the 50s. We could see triple-digit silver in some people's minds. The actual paper to silver ratio is 188 to 1. So that means there are 188 contracts for silver for every physical 1 ounce of silver. So that is kind of out of whack if that ever catches up, okay? And, well, if physical silver demand gets to a point where people start to realize that you can't really buy coins or whatever it is that may happen, because people just keep stacking and they're not slowing down, okay? So at a certain point, that paper to silver ratio is going to see a little bit of trouble. They're going to have to figure out something there. They may end up changing the rules on deliverabilities for things like derivatives, whatever it is. They've already done some things like that here already this year. But if we scroll in here, if we come into a lower time frame, let's get down to the daily. Let's clear this screen out. And basically, I just want to show you guys where we are on this most recent wave. We've got big announcements coming out this week on the US dollar. It looks like on our most recent wave, we did come down to the magic 618 number, and this is actually what we were looking for. I mean, we had a pending order set down here days ago if you're in our client only group. So we're expecting big opportunity, and this next move could be as high as $852, $32, somewhere around that range. No gospel in this world, but I think a very exciting opportunity. I really, I look forward to the rest of this year. It's going to be really exciting to see how things pan out. I know that the Fed, all the central banks, they've never had as much responsibility as they do now because they've never had so much money in circulation. So we are going to be talking about all this stuff more on Friday. There's going to be more videos that come out this week. So press the thumbs up button if you like the video. Subscribe, ring the bell. If you want more information about funding a trading account that you can actually trade this stuff in, send us an email to brokers@123trade.com or visit our website, 123trade.com. There are lots of other videos on our page there, on our YouTube section. There's also soon to be a news section and a lot of other resources. So if you do have any questions, like I said, send us a message, send us an email, or visit the site. Contact us. Again, I'm Will Bridges from 123 Trade. Thank you for checking out the video today. Have a great rest of yours. Take care. Bye.